Your lesson essential question is, how can I describe how characters' traits, motivations, and feelings change throughout a story? So we're going to be focusing on a character today. We know characters are who the story is about. We're going to talk about his traits, his motivations, and his feelings, and how they change throughout a story. You're going to be answering a discussion question about how this character changed from the beginning to the end of the story. And then tomorrow, you're going to be writing about how a certain character helped change the outcome of the story. So remember yesterday we talked about this little boy, and we said that at the beginning he was very hungry. He looks pretty sad. But his motivation to start cooking was that he was hungry, and we can tell by his face he was starting to feel happy. And then in the end, we know that he's changed. He's now happy, he's full, and he's changed because of his actions and thoughts and feelings and motivations. So he reacted to a problem, and the outcome of the story has changed. So just to review, we know that characters respond to major events to create the plot of a story. We talked about how a lot of times that those major events start with a problem, and they start to react to the problem. So characters have traits, they have feelings, and they have motivations that affect the outcome or the end of the story. So because of the things they think, say, do, and feel, the end of the story changes. So we look for those characters' feelings, their thoughts, their words, their actions, and we look at their traits. And we talked about this little boy already and his traits and his actions. And we talked about how he changed the outcome by reacting to his problem. We also talked about the importance of focusing on those illustrations, because we really can learn a lot more about characters by looking at the pictures. And of course, we're thinking about the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. So we know at first we want to figure out who the characters are, who is this story about. We want to find out a little bit about them, so we want to look for those traits. Then we look for that problem at the beginning, and we start to identify how the characters are acting and reacting to the problem, not just through their actions, but also through their thoughts and their words and their feelings. And we learned a lot about Pandora and her brother by paying attention to what they were saying to each other. So then in the end, we want to look at the solution. How did what the characters did and thought and said and felt, how did those things affect the solution? And we want to think about how the characters changed because of those things. We're going to read this story called The Dream Catcher. We're going to meet a character named Peter. And today we're focusing on how Peter changes from the beginning of the story to the end based on the events. And tomorrow you are going to do a writing assignment, and you're going to be talking about how the grandmother helped change the end of the story or the outcome of the story. So today we're thinking about how Peter changed, and tomorrow we're thinking about how the grandmother changed the outcome. Peter walked home from school. Salty tears ran down his cheeks, and his stomach hurt. He didn't know what to do. Grandmother was waiting for him on their front porch. "What's wrong, Bayen?" said Peter's grandmother. Bayen was the Ojibwe name for Peter. He called her Nokomis, which means grandmother. Peter looked up. "I have to give a presentation where I talk about a family tradition. I know we have lots of beliefs and customs. Can you remind me of one? Nokomis smiled and nodded her head. Come with me, she said. So tell me about Peter, the main character. What are some of his traits at the beginning of the story? You're probably saying that he's sad, and we know that from his actions. He's crying. His feelings, his stomach is hurting. He doesn't know what to do. How does his grandmother react to this? Yeah, she says, what's wrong? She wants to try to solve his problem. What is Peter's problem? So, Peter has to give a presentation about a family tradition. And he doesn't know any family traditions. So that's what's making him upset. So, of course, Nokomis reacts. She smiles. She says, come with me. So now we know that she's going to try to solve this problem. I'm taking a look at the pictures, and I can tell that Peter's pretty upset by looking at his face. He looks very worried. Peter followed Nokomis. She went to a closet and stretched to reach the top shelf. She pulled out a small box and blew away the dust. She handed it to Peter. Open it, she said. Peter opened the box. He spotted a wooden hoop inside. It was in the shape of a circle. String was woven and twisted around the hoop. It looked like a spider web. A black bead sat near the center. Feathers hung from the bottom. Peter wiped away his tears and smiled. Now, Peter's opening the box. We're learning about what the item in the box looks like. Now, Peter's already starting to react differently than he was at the beginning. How does Peter react to whatever's in this box? Okay, you probably said he wipes away his tears and he smiles. So already we can tell that Peter's changing. This is a dream catcher, said Nokomis. Our people have made these for many years. Circles are symbols of unity and strength. Let's hang it over your bed tonight. It will catch your bad dreams in the web, and your good dreams will fall through the center. Maybe it will give you courage to do your presentation. Can I take this to school? Asked Peter. No, Bayan, said Nokomis. This dream catcher is precious. I got it when I was your age, and it means a lot to me. So, the grandmother is starting to tell Peter about the dream catcher and what it means. And I see that Peter reacts by asking if he can take it to school. That shows me that he's pretty interested in this. Now the grandmother's really being motivational to him. She's saying maybe this will give you courage to do your presentation. Peter felt disappointment because he wanted to share the dream catcher with his class. So now Peter's reacting in a different way. What is he feeling now? Yeah, he's feeling disappointment. So first he started to get excited. Now he's feeling sad again. We could make you one, said Nokomis. I'd like that, cried Peter. All right, so he was feeling disappointed, and then he reacts through his words. What does he say? Yeah, he says, I'd like that. Nokomis and Peter worked together and made a dream catcher. That night, as he gazed and looked at the dream catcher over his bed, he made a plan. The next morning, he told Nokomis his plan. I'm going to show my class how to make a dream catcher, he said. So now what are Peter's actions and reactions to the problem? Okay, so you probably said he comes up with a plan. He's going to show his class how to make a dream catcher. So now he has a plan. Let's see how he's feeling now. That's a great idea, said Nokomis. Let's celebrate after your presentation. I will bake corn cookies and we will have a traditional Ojibwe party. Peter shared his dream catcher with his classmates and showed them how to make their own. Peter didn't feel nervous or scared at all. He felt pride in his culture. He felt pride in himself, too. So now tell me about Peter at the end of the story. All right, so now he's not feeling nervous or scared. We know he has pride in his culture and pride in himself. So Peter has definitely changed from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. You're going to be talking about how Peter changed in your discussion posts today. And then tomorrow, you're going to be talking about how the grandmother affected this change, how she made the outcome of the story different.